dad were saying, right, Brett, like you're doing well in drama, you're doing well in performing arts, and that's cool, but like that's a very tough road to go down. And I was like, yeah, it is, but I really enjoy that. And they go, how about you hedge your bets? How about you do something that's like probably a bit more like business oriented? And at the same time, I was like super interested in computers and technology. So I was working, I think this was in year 10, I was working with a friend at a computer shop building computers from scratch. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty sick. Like, it's fun. I'm getting out to build things. And then one thing turns into another. You're building computers, you're writing code, you end up becoming a bit of a nerd. And they're like, Brett, that's the future.
Counterintuitive to getting
that's the
women.
future. Yeah. Computer nerd, all right, or versus drama nerd. What is it that you want to be?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe computer nerd's the way to go. And I just kind of followed that pathway and started doing like web design, web development, like making things in a digital landscape when it was like brand new. It was like we were coding MySpace themes for people. HTML,
Sparkle,
CSS, Sparkles, like using marquee code. Like it was my introduction into the world of like web development. And that was cool. But it was interesting because on the side, I always had this kind of little bug in me, which was like, I would love to do TV. I'd love to do radio. And, I'd done like a little bit with like Channel 31 back at that time, which was like, does it still exist?
Yeah. The same Polish dude or whatever his name is still there. What's his name?
He touched me.
I think he touched a lot of people.
Touched my heart, that is. I know. But yeah, I was like, okay, it seemed like a logical thing to do, but it's interesting how life kind of like turns around, and like even with where I'm at now, like those elements of performing arts definitely do play into, like those theatrics play into what I actually do in delivering something as
or pitch meetings.
Pitch meetings,
yeah.
Like delivering a product is like, if you are enthusiastic about something and if you love what it is that you do, then it's got a better chance of materializing.
Yeah. So we should say you're the founder of Freeform Foundry.
True.
The is the really big part of that sentence, isn't it?
Like the Facebook.
The Facebook.
I'm the founder of the Facebook. I just say everyone knows at home.
And so how did you parlay all of those dreams and everything into that, into forming the Freeform Foundry?
Great question. So what had happened is, so I went through school and there was no clear pathway at that time in order to kind of like get into, I guess, the modern web development, modern branding world. Like it just wasn't really a thing. Like you had to like either work for like a really big agency which did like big brand things. And at that time there was like the brand agency or Market Force.
Yeah.
And so everybody knew these names, but like they weren't really tech forward or leading at any stage. So I was trying to get into that world, but unless you knew someone, there was no chance you're ever going to be let in. So I remember even like my good friend Roscoe, he and I applied for the same role the same position in university to try and get into like a creative advertising course to try and get into that space where we might get on the radar of people in that space. And because we didn't come from that background, like we just looked over straight away. Like it was like all about new stars, getting people straight out of school, So we ended up going straight to TAFE. We did interactive multimedia, we did coding, we did design, we did all these bits and pieces. And I managed to get into a bridging course that got me into university, and I did the business side of marketing advertising. And because I'd come from like the practitioner side, like I was doing like coding and design, and I got to learn all this theory about business, that was like, my mind just exploded. I was like, all right, cool. I'm learning about the reason why we make these decisions, and not just like, I'm not getting briefed to do a thing, which was quite revolutionary.
Yeah.
So I took that, went through, got to like year 3 of my degree, and one of the guys from Brain Cell's agency at the time, who had also worked with Market Force, there was 2 guys, Steve and Pete, and they just go, Brett, like, we've seen your presentations, we've seen what you're doing. Let's take you under our wing and show you the way that this world actually works. And my first job outside of uni was working on Little Creatures. So Little Creatures as a brand, like craft beer was brand new at the time. Like no one knew about it. Yeah. So I was going to bottle shops doing market research and going, right, what do you think of this brand? And I go, it's got a little baby on it. Like, I'm not going to drink that. That's yuppie shit. Like, that's not for me. Like, at the time, it was like VB, EB. Like, it was like.
No, what was the other? Tui's. Extra dry. It was huge, which is dog shit now when you think about it.
Ice filtered beers. That was a thing back in the day.
Yeah.
And people looked at this thing and go, craft beer? Like, no, thank you very much. Like, we're this yuppie crap. And one of the interesting things that we found, like, the further we got inland from the coast was the more they perceived Little Creatures as being yuppie shit, and I'll just stick to my man's
That
beer.
was your data?
That was the data. So, like, literally at bottle shops, like, show them a label and they go, it's got a baby on the bottle. Like, no, thank you.
Huh.
So then what we did as a result of that is we go, right, well, we're actually asking people to open their minds. So what about if we go with open up a little, like open up Little Creatures, like change your mind about the way that things work. And that was, for me, like changing behavior around beer as a concept. Perception
is everything.
There is no truth. There's only perception.
Yeah.
That's like a motto that I actually lead by.
Tattoos.
On your arm. It's on me right now. It's actually across both breasts.
It's not a tattoo. It's my perception there is a tattoo.
Yeah, the perception of my double D breasts, which have the tattoo of there is no truth, only perception.
I'm telling you that the listener that can't see their double A's.
Something about sides, about how you use them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my kind of intro into it. And I go, cool. Even after having that experience, I couldn't get a job in an agency. Like no one was employing. You had to really be part of this kind of like inner circle of people. Like it was a difficult time. And this is like the early thousands. So I ended up going client side. The guys that had mentored me got me into working with solar power and renewables, which was like a burgeoning industry at the time.
Grants are available and you could,
Yeah, it was an easy sell. And like so many homes got solar hooked up at that time. Solar wasn't particularly affordable, but like we were selling it. So in my time within this company, I was fortunate enough to be given the leeway to be able to start establishing my own team. So I kind of like built like a mini agency within this company. And I had a developer, I had Roscoe, who was a designer, I had an account coordinator, I had all these people doing bits and pieces. And I got to the point where I go, look, if I can do this for one company, and I built like a retail arm of this company, I built a distribution network, I built a manufacturing arm, which was coming straight out of China. And I was being flown all across Australia at the age of 24 to be training sales managers who would double my age. I'm like, this isn't normal. Like I'm too young to be able to be doing this. I didn't feel like I was worthy enough. I was like, if someone's letting me do this, I could probably do this for any company. So I just go, right, built up to stage, got it where I was comfortable. And I go to my boss, another guy called Ross at the time.
This whole bit is becoming its own company and I'm the boss of this.
Yeah. And he goes, Brett, I thought the sun would come. Like, to be honest, like, cool, do your own thing, but you're going to take us on as your first client. And I go,
oh, yeah.
Let's do it. So
amazing.
That was cool. So, and honestly, we worked with them for like the next, 3, 4, 5 years after that. Roscoe, who was one of my friends who I studied with, like I brought him on board. So he was like part of that team when I was working in the solar power. And he was the guy that I started Freeform with in the original iteration.
Beautiful.
So yeah, and it was a cool journey. Like it was a cool process to kind of go through that and start a business from scratch. Like I had like a couple.
And you're doing it consciously, right? So you're taking a reading on yourself, going, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but you're just kind of going through it, and like just experimenting every single time and going, right, what did I learn from being able to commercialize something at a marketing level for one style of business? Can I do this for another kind of business? So the next kind of like jobs that we got on were like things for like Metro's Frio, and we coordinated like a photo shoot of like a pillow fight party for this kind of pajama themed party that we're doing. I was like, I love the ability to be able to like just create worlds. Why are these people listening to me?
I'm pitching a pillow fight party with these beautiful women just like hitting each other. We've got a photo studio and it's like...
And someone goes, okay.
Someone goes, yeah, that sounds like that might get people through the door. But I'm like, yeah, like there's this thing as like a market where you go, you empathize with what people in the market actually want, with what your audience wants. And you go, what would make me want to take notice of your business? Like, if you come to me with all of your standard messaging of all your brand stuff, like all your boring things that you want to talk about, I'm not listening. But if you challenge me and if you show me something I'm not used to seeing, well, okay, now I'm interested and I'm prepared to do something that's, you know, probably a bit more committed, more than just being interested in what you're doing. So yeah, it kind of like, it started snowballing after that. And before you know it, like, yeah, it's just 10 years, 12 years later, we got acquired by another agency. So,
and there's a lot to be said for the right time and the right place. And you never know you're the right person in the right time and the right place at the time. But really, you grew up in the .com area, so that you saw the internet come. You've got the experience of being a human pre-internet, which is incredible for like charisma and networking and just time, right? And then the .com era comes, you learn that technology as it's emerging.
Yes.
Right? And then you're ready to go.
Yep.
And then you have the ability to just get involved in businesses as they're growing and you grow with it.
Correct.
And it's so weird to think now here we are at 40 years of age and we are the people that are doing these things. And it's just, we don't fucking know what we're doing. We're like making this up as we go. Yeah. But what we do have is we grew with it and we did the hard yards and we had no opportunities. We had to make your own stuff. And now we know. And also that's what the generation before us did.
And that's what the generation coming is doing the same.
It's doing the same in a different way, yeah.
When I look at like the amount of money that certain industries make, so I think it's OnlyFans has the most millionaires per employee count. So I think I can't remember the exact number, but they had about 50 employees, all on hundreds of millions of dollars each.
Oh my God.
Whereas you have like Netflix and like Google and Apple and all these big companies which have thousands of employees and they can't create the same. Yeah. So we are most certainly, and like not to use it, OnlyFans is the only example of this, but like we are in a new generation of content creators where it's actually not about brand anymore. It's actually about going off brand. It's about trying to do things that actually are hyper relevant to people, where it feels like, you know what, you talk to me on my level and you're giving me the thing that I want. So it's hyper targeted and hyper remarkable. Like nowadays, if you are not doing anything that fits within that realm, you're completely like just put to the side.
They're so noisy, you're just forgotten, right?
Well, it's not even you're forgotten. You never had the chance to be remembered, which is probably more disturbing.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you just think money at 20, because the 80s was the first time that young people got to make money. That's how it got so wild, and now we'll look at it. You're seeing these guys on TikTok. You've seen it, because I know your algorithm's probably so fucking same as mine. But it's like, you're just seeing this 17-year-old going like, we're making $30,000, $40,000 a week doing this one thing. We're taking that, we're putting that there, and this person buying it. And it's just like, what the fuck? Money means nothing to in this new world. It's crazy.
It's good to see that you've seen my Instagram where I'm standing outside the front of my Lamborghini and in my driveway just saying, this
rented but you rented the whole scenario for 1 hour from another guy to get the Instagram post, then making you viral so they can buy your course.
And there is no truth, only perception.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting time, and like all the tricks and tools that all those even like frameworks that I was taught when I was first coming through. Yeah, there is some merit to doing those things, but at the end of the day, like I look at things through a bit of a different lens these days, and that's probably part of my experience, which is like, what's a strategy that underpins what it is that you want to do? Like, and when I think about like people say, yeah, I've got a strategy. I want to like make a website and I want to do this product and I want to do da-da-da. And I go, that's cool. But like, if your strategy is a true strategy, your strategy is trying to find out how are you going to win that battle. So yeah, your strategy might say like, my strategy says I need a website. And you go, right, how are you going to win the website game? Are you going to out SEO someone? Are you going to out paid ads them? Are you going to create the most bullshit crazy experience that people go, oh my God, have you seen this website? honestly, it's fucking changed me as a person. I get goosebumps when I log on. My mouse melted when I touch the thing. Like, it uses like 3D infrared imaging, so it gets into the back of your brain and it gives you back